Imagine a vast empty wilderness. This is Siberia, a place of immense forest and few people. The date is June 30th, 1908. The sun has just risen, casting a gentle light over the land. Local Evenki people are tending their reindeer, going about their morning routines. The air is still and cool. Nothing seems out of the ordinary on this remote corner of our planet. The universe, however, had other plans for this quiet morning. It was about to deliver a message, a fiery messenger from the depths of space, reminding us that we are passengers on a world traveling through a cosmic shooting gallery. Suddenly, the sky splits open. A brilliant blue light, brighter than the sun itself, streaks across the horizon. It moves with impossible speed, a searing column of fire descending from the heavens. Witnesses hundreds of kilometers away would later describe it as a second sun, a terrifying spectacle that turned the morning sky into an inferno. For those closer to its path, the light was followed by a wave of intense heat. So powerful, it felt as if their clothes were on fire. The universe was knocking on Earth's door, and it was not a gentle tap. Then came the sound. A deafening roar, a series of thunderous claps that echoed across the taiga. It was a sound so powerful it shattered windows in towns over 60 kilometers away. The ground itself began to tremble, shaking as if in a violent earthquake. People were knocked off their feet. The air pressure wave that followed was immense, a physical force that flattened everything in its path. It was the kind of power our planet rarely experiences, a raw demonstration of cosmic energy unleashed in an instant. For those who saw it, it was a moment of pure terror and awe. They had no frame of reference, no science to explain what was happening. To them, it seemed like the end of the world, a punishment from the gods. The sky roared, the earth shook, and a pillar of fire rose into the atmosphere. The event was so powerful that for nights afterward, the skies over Europe and Asia glowed with an eerie light, allowing people in London to read newspapers outdoors at midnight. Earth had just been grazed by a cosmic bullet, and the shock waves were felt around the globe. The sheer remoteness of the Tunguska region meant that the world would not learn the full extent of the devastation for many years. Russia was on the brink of revolution and war, and the mysterious explosion in the middle of nowhere was not a high priority. It wasn't until 1927, nearly 2 decades later, that a scientific expedition led by Leonid Kulik finally reached the site. What they found was not a scene of earthly destruction, but something far stranger, a landscape that looked as if it had been scarred by an alien force. The scene was one of unparalleled, silent devastation. Kulik and his team pushed through the dense forest, expecting to find a massive crater, the telltale sign of a meteorite impact. But there was no crater. Instead, they discovered an area of utter annihilation stretching over 2,000 square kilometers, an area larger than a major modern city. In every direction, as far as the eye could see, millions upon millions of trees were flattened. They lay in a radial pattern, their tops all pointing away from a central point, like spokes on a giant, broken wheel. It was a forest frozen in the moment of its own destruction. At the very center of this radial pattern, the scene was even more eerie. Here, a small number of trees remained standing, though they were stripped of their branches and bark. They stood like ghostly telephone poles, scorched and skeletal, silent witnesses to the incredible force that had descended from above. This central zone, the epicenter of the blast, was the key to the puzzle. The fact that the trees were still upright suggested that the explosive force came not from the side, but directly from above them. The explosion, it seemed, had happened in the air. The absence of an impact crater baffled the scientists. If a giant rock or piece of iron from space had hit the Earth, it should have left a massive hole. But there was nothing. No fragments of a meteorite, no impact basin, just the flattened forest and the scorched Earth. It was a cosmic crime scene with no weapon, no fingerprints, only the silent testimony of the fallen trees. The mystery of Tunguska deepened, inviting speculation and launching a scientific quest that continues to this day, a quest to understand the day the sky exploded. With no crater and no meteorite fragments, the scientific community was faced with a profound puzzle. What could possibly unleash such destructive power without leaving the expected evidence behind? The leading hypothesis began to center on the idea of a fragile cosmic visitor. Perhaps the object was not a sturdy, rocky asteroid, but a comet. A comet is essentially a dirty snowball, a mixture of ice, dust, and frozen gases. Such an object, upon entering our atmosphere at high speed, could have been superheated, causing it to vaporize and explode violently before ever touching the ground. This idea of an airburst explained many of the strange details. An explosion several kilometers up in the atmosphere would send a shockwave downwards, flattening the trees directly below, while pushing those further out away from the center. It would also explain the lack of a crater and the absence of meteorite debris, as a comet would be composed mostly of ice and dust that would disperse completely. Local stories from the Evenki people also seem to support this, with some describing the fireball descending at an angle before the final cataclysmic blast. Of course, whenever a mystery is this compelling, it attracts more fanciful theories. The absence of clear evidence left a vacuum that was filled with speculation. Some wondered if it was a tiny black hole that passed through the Earth. Others whispered of an alien spaceship that either crashed or exploded. There were even theories about an experiment with a powerful new weapon that went wrong. These stories are exciting, but they lack evidence. Science demands explanations that fit the facts, and the facts pointed to an event in the sky, not on the ground. The most widely accepted scientific explanation today is that the Tunguska event was caused by the mid-air explosion of a stony asteroid or a small comet. This space rock, perhaps 50 to 60 meters in diameter, entered the atmosphere at a tremendous velocity. The immense pressure and friction of its passage through the air heated it to thousands of degrees, causing it to detonate with the force of about 1,000 Hiroshima bombs. This airburst theory neatly explains the flattened forest, the standing trees at the epicenter, and the missing crater. For decades, Tunguska remained a singular, almost mythical event, but the cosmos sent us a reminder in our own time. On February 15, 2013, a much smaller space rock, about 20 meters across, exploded in an airburst over the Russian city of Chelyabinsk. This event was captured by dashboard cameras and security videos, giving us our first high-definition look at what a smaller version of the Tunguska event looks like. The shockwave shattered windows across the city, injuring over 1,000 people, mostly from flying glass. Chelyabinsk was a wake-up call. The Chelyabinsk event proved that airbursts from space objects are not just a thing of the past. They are a present and future danger. Modern technology allows us to study these events in ways Kulik could only dream of. Scientists can now analyze the chemical composition of microscopic dust left behind in the soil and tree rings from 1908. These tiny traces help us piece together the nature of the Tunguska impact. We also have powerful telescopes dedicated to scanning the skies, creating a catalog of near-Earth objects to identify potential threats before they reach us. Tunguska teaches us a profound lesson about our place in the universe. We live on a beautiful world, but it is not isolated. We are part of a dynamic and sometimes violent cosmic neighborhood. Events like Tunguska and Chelyabinsk are not attacks. They are simply the result of the laws of physics and orbital mechanics. Asteroids and comets have been hitting Earth for billions of years. They are part of the story of our planet. In fact, impacts may have delivered water and the building blocks of life to the early Earth. The story of Tunguska is therefore not just a historical curiosity, it is a vital warning. It reminds us of our vulnerability and the immense power that nature can unleash. The same cosmic forces that shape galaxies and forge stars can affect our lives in an instant. By studying Tunguska, we are not just solving an old mystery, we are learning how to protect our future. It compels us to look up, to understand the celestial traffic, and to appreciate the fragile shield of our atmosphere that protects us every single day from the silent, ever-present rain of cosmic debris. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more mysterious and real stories. Don't forget to hit the bell icon to get notified about new videos.